My fiancé slid me a prenup, demanding my paid-off house and half my business. Or no wedding, saying, "Sign or the wedding's off." I smiled. "Okay," called my lawyer, and let her think she'd cornered me. Weeks later, the paperwork she got back made her sob on. People always say you don't really know someone until you see how they handle money. Turns out they're wrong. You don't really know someone until they think they're entitled to yours. The conversation that ended my engagement happened Tuesday night over what was supposed to be a romantic dinner. Cassidy had been acting strange for weeks, dropping hints about getting serious about our future and making sure we're protected legally. I figured she was worried about normal prenup stuff, protecting her car, her savings account, maybe her grandmother's jewelry. I was not prepared for what she actually had in mind. I'm Rex, 34, and I own Manning Brothers Plumbing, though there's no actual brothers involved, just me and my business partner Tank, who I've known since high school. Started the company 8 years ago with a beat-up pickup truck, some used tools, and more determination than sense. Now we've got 12 employees, a fleet of service vehicles, and revenue that hit $3.2 million last year. I also own my house outright, custom built on 5 acres outside town, designed exactly how I wanted it, paid for in cash after 5 years of living in a trailer and banking every penny. No mortgage, no debt, just the satisfaction of owning something I built with my own hands and sweat. Cassidy's a real estate agent who specializes in luxury homes. We met when I was doing some plumbing work at one of her listings, and I'll admit I was impressed by her knowledge of high-end properties and her ambition to succeed in a competitive field. She's beautiful, confident, and seemed to appreciate that I'd built something meaningful from nothing. Tuesday night, she slides this thick document across the dinner table and says, "I had my lawyer draw up our prenup. I think you'll find it's very fair." I start reading through it, expecting the usual stuff about keeping separate assets separate, protecting inheritance rights, maybe some basic financial guidelines for marriage. Instead, I find a document that gives Cassidy immediate ownership of my house upon marriage and 50% of Manning Brothers Plumbing as a wedding gift to acknowledge her partnership in my success. My partnership in my success. For a business she's never worked a day in, contributed zero capital to, and knows about as much as I know about luxury real estate marketing. I set the papers down and asked her to explain what I was reading. "What's yours should be ours," she said, like she was explaining something obvious to a child. "I'm going to be your wife. Wives deserve security. Besides, you'll probably want my input on business decisions anyway. I understand client relationships and high-end service in ways you haven't learned yet." High-end service. Like the years I spent crawling under houses and learning every aspect of plumbing from sewer lines to water heater installation was somehow inadequate compared to her experience showing rich people through houses someone else built. "Cassidy," I said, trying to stay calm, "this prenup gives you half my business and my house immediately when we get married. What exactly are you bringing to this arrangement?" Her answer will haunt me forever. "I'm bringing myself, Rex. I'm beautiful. I'm educated. I know how to present well in social situations. Do you have any idea what kind of asset I'll be for networking and growing your business?" An asset. She was describing herself like a piece of equipment I was acquiring for the company. I told her this was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen, and that there was no universe where I'd sign something that gave away half of what I'd spent 8 years building. That's when the real Cassidy came out. She started crying immediately, but not sad crying, angry, manipulative crying. "You don't really love me," she sobbed. "If you loved me, you'd want to share everything with me. You're just using me until someone better comes along." When the tears didn't work, she switched to screaming. "I've wasted 18 months of my life on you. I could have been dating someone who actually values commitment. You're just another selfish man who wants a girlfriend but not a real partner." The screaming escalated until she threw the engagement ring at me and stormed out, yelling that I'd shown my true colors, and she was done with men who don't understand what marriage means. I sat there for about 10 minutes, looking at that prenup and the ring on my dining room floor, trying to process what had just happened. Then I called Tank. "Dude," he said after I explained the situation, "that's not a prenup. That's a business acquisition disguised as a marriage contract." He's right. Cassidy wasn't planning to marry me. She was planning to acquire my assets using marriage as the legal mechanism. I've spent 3 days thinking about every conversation we've had about my business, my house, my future plans. All those questions about revenue, about property values, about expansion opportunities. I thought she was interested in my work. Turns out she was appraising it. The ring's still sitting on my kitchen counter. I'm not sure what to do with it yet, but I know what I'm not going to do with it. Some people build things. Other people try to take things that other people built. Now I know which category my ex-fiancé falls into. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Reading these comments is helping me process what actually happened here. Yeah, Tank's been saying for months that something felt off about her interest in my finances. Edit 2. For those asking about the timeline, she moved in 6 months ago to save money for the wedding. Now I'm wondering if that was part of the plan too. Edit 3. Big Jim, the guy who taught me the business when I was starting out, just called. Apparently this kind of targeting isn't as uncommon as I thought. Successful tradesmen are prime targets, he said. They see the money but think we're too stupid to protect it. Update 1. I decided to do some digging into Cassidy's relationship history, and what I found makes my blood run cold. Tank, being the thorough guy he is, spent the weekend doing some research on Cassidy's background. What he discovered is that I wasn't her first attempt at this particular strategy. According to his investigation, Cassidy has dated 3 other business owners in the past 5 years. A guy who owns a landscaping company, another who runs a successful auto repair shop, and a third who built a small trucking business. All self-made guys, all significantly older than her, all with substantial assets they'd built from scratch. The pattern is identical, Tank told me Sunday morning. She targets guys in trades who've built successful businesses, dates them for 12 to 18 months, then pushes for marriage with financial integration. But here's the really disturbing part. Tank managed to track down the trucking company owner. When Tank explained what had happened to me, the guy's response was immediate. Jesus Christ, she tried the same thing on me, said she deserved half my business because wives are partners in their husband's success. Turns out she'd given this guy almost the exact same prenup, just with different company names filled in. Sunday afternoon, Cassidy's younger sister Madison showed up at my house. Madison's 24, works as a waitress, and apparently felt obligated to warn me about something. I'm sorry about what happened, she said, but I need you to know this wasn't spontaneous. Cassidy's been planning this for months. Madison told me that Cassidy had specifically researched me before we met. She'd identified my business through public records, learned about my house through property databases, and literally engineered our accidental meeting at that client's house. She calls it strategic dating, Madison explained. She targets men with money but no class. Her words, not mine. She thinks guys like you are easy marks because you don't understand how gold diggers operate. Men with money but no class. Because apparently building a successful business through actual work makes you unsophisticated compared to someone whose job is showing people through houses. Madison also revealed that the family has been coaching Cassidy on this approach. Her mother apparently believes that beautiful women deserve to marry into money, and that targeting self-made men is smarter than competing for inherited wealth. She's been bragging about your house and your business income to the family for months, Madison said, talking about how she'll never have to work again once you guys get married. I asked Madison why she was telling me this. Because it's wrong, she said simply. You seem like a decent guy, and what she's doing isn't love, it's exploitation. After Madison left, I made a decision about how to handle this situation. I started calling every luxury real estate client Cassidy's worked with in the past year, not to trash talk her, just to mention that she'd been using her professional relationships to identify and target wealthy men for personal relationships. I thought you should know, I told each of them, that Cassidy's been mixing business with personal financial planning in ways you might want to be aware of. By Wednesday, 3 different clients had called Cassidy's broker to express concerns about her professionalism and boundary management. Tank thinks I'm being too aggressive, but I disagree. When someone targets your life's work for exploitation, you don't just walk away and hope they don't do it to someone else. You make sure they understand there are consequences for predatory behavior. Cassidy called Thursday night, screaming about how I was ruining her career and destroying her reputation over hurt feelings. This isn't about hurt feelings, I told her. This is about protecting other guys from what you tried to do to me. She hung up, but not before threatening to make me regret interfering with her business. We'll see how that works out for her. Edit. Madison texted me that the family is furious about her betraying Cassidy. Apparently honesty isn't valued in that household. Edit 2. Big Jim called with an update. Cassidy tried to pull the same prenup strategy with his recently divorced friend Larry. Larry told her to take that gold-digging bullshit somewhere else. Word is spreading in our community. Update 2. Cassidy decided to escalate this situation in a way I didn't see coming, and now we're in full legal warfare mode. Last Thursday, I got served with papers claiming that Cassidy has common-law marriage rights to my business and property based on our 18-month relationship and 6-month cohabitation. According to her legal filing, she's entitled to partnership interest in Manning Brothers Plumbing and equitable distribution of jointly acquired assets, including my house, jointly acquired assets, for a house I built before I met her, using money I earned before I met her, on land I bought before I met her. I called Victoria Lane, the attorney who handles my business legal affairs. Victoria's been in practice for 20 years, specializes in protecting business assets, and doesn't mess around when someone tries to exploit the legal system for financial gain. This is the most frivolous claim I've seen in months, Victoria told me after reviewing the papers. She has zero basis for common law marriage in this state, zero ownership stake in your pre-existing business, and zero claim to property she never contributed to purchasing. Victoria's counterattack was swift and brutal. She filed a motion to dismiss with prejudice, included documentation proving that Cassidy never worked for Manning Brothers, never contributed capital to the business, and never had any legal relationship to my property acquisition. But the real devastation came when Victoria subpoenaed my security camera footage. See, I have cameras all around my property, partly for security, partly because expensive equipment tends to grow legs in this business. Those cameras have been recording everything for the past 6 months, time-stamped and date-stamped. The footage shows exactly what Cassidy's daily routine looked like while she was living in my house. Sleeping until noon, spending afternoons shopping or at spas, evening wine consumption while I worked late finishing jobs. Not once in 6 months did those cameras capture her doing anything that could be construed as contributing to my business operations. Victoria presented 18 hours of edited footage to the court showing Cassidy's actual lifestyle versus her claims of being a business partner. The judge was not impressed, but Victoria saved the best for last. During our discovery phase, we'd been gathering evidence of Cassidy's pattern of targeting successful tradesmen. Victoria found a recording on Cassidy's own phone. Apparently she'd been bragging to a friend about her strategy. In her own voice, Cassidy explained, "These guys work their asses off building businesses, but they don't understand that women sacrifice their careers to support their men. I deserve half of what Rex built because that's what wives get. It's not gold digging, it's compensation for my potential lost income." Potential lost income. For a career she never sacrificed because she kept working as a real estate agent the entire time we were together. Victoria played that recording in court. Cassidy's attorney tried to object, but the judge allowed it as evidence of her actual motivations versus her legal claims. The case was dismissed with prejudice last Tuesday. The judge specifically noted that attempting to use common-law marriage claims to acquire assets you didn't contribute to creating represents a frivolous abuse of the legal system. But I wasn't done. I released that recording to every contractor in our local network. Within 48 hours, every major construction company, landscaping business, and trade service in 3 counties had heard Cassidy Rhodes explaining her strategy for exploiting men who build businesses. Her real estate career is effectively over. Not because I destroyed it, but because she destroyed it by publicly admitting she views professional relationships as hunting grounds for personal financial gain. Tank thinks I went too far, but Victoria disagrees. When someone tries to use the legal system to steal your life's work, Victoria told me, protecting your community from the same exploitation isn't revenge. It's public service. Cassidy's been calling and texting non-stop, alternating between apologies and threats. I've blocked her number, but she keeps trying from different phones. The last message I saw before blocking everything was, "You'll never find anyone who loves you like I did." She's right about that. I'll never find anyone who loves my bank account quite as much as she did. Edit. Madison reached out to apologize again for her family's behavior. She's apparently been disowned for siding with the enemy. I offered her a job at Manning Brothers doing administrative work. She starts Monday. Edit 2. Victoria mentioned that Cassidy's frivolous lawsuit might qualify for sanctions. We're exploring whether she should pay my legal fees for wasting the court's time. Final update: I wasn't planning to update this story, but enough has changed that it feels worth sharing how everything resolved, especially for anyone dealing with people who confuse partnership with parasitism. 2 years later, Manning Brothers Plumbing has expanded to 3 locations. I've bought a commercial property for our main shop, and my net worth has roughly doubled. Protecting my business from Cassidy's exploitation attempt turned out to be the best financial decision I've ever made. As for Cassidy herself, the consequences of her actions caught up with her in ways I couldn't have predicted. The recording of her admitting she targeted men for their assets got shared beyond just the contractor community. Someone posted it on social media, and within a week, it had been seen by most of the real estate professionals in our area. The State Real Estate Commission launched an ethics investigation into her practice of using client relationships to identify wealthy men for personal relationships. Mixing professional duties with personal financial targeting violates several professional conduct standards. Cassidy lost her real estate license 6 months after our court case concluded. Last I heard from Madison, Cassidy had moved back in with her parents and was working retail at a department store. The luxury lifestyle she thought she deserved by marrying into my success evaporated when people learned how she actually pursued it. Madison, meanwhile, has become one of my best employees. She started in administrative work, but showed genuine interest in learning the business side of operations. I'm training her to handle customer relations and project coordination. She's earning her success through actual work, which is apparently a foreign concept in her family. I learned from watching what happened to you, Madison told me last month. Real success comes from building something yourself, not trying to take what someone else built. Big Jim's network has been sharing my story as a cautionary tale for the past 2 years. The Manning situation has become shorthand in our community for protecting your assets from strategic relationship targeting. I've actually helped 3 other guys recognize similar patterns with women they were dating. In each case, the woman had researched their business success, engineered meetings, and pushed for rapid financial integration. None of them got as far as Cassidy did, because now we know what to look for. The best part of this whole experience has been my relationship with Victoria. What started as a professional attorney-client relationship evolved into something personal about 6 months after the case concluded. Victoria understands business success because she built her own practice from scratch. She insists on keeping our finances completely separate, pays for her own dinners, and has never once shown any interest in my assets beyond professional legal advice. When someone has built their own success, they don't need to appropriate yours. Victoria and I are talking about buying adjacent properties to expand both our businesses while keeping our operations independent. She wants to build a larger law office. I want space for a training facility to teach plumbing skills to veterans transitioning to civilian careers. 2 people who've built their own success, planning to build something together without either one trying to acquire what the other already owns. That's what real partnership looks like. Cassidy taught me to recognize the difference between someone who wants to build a life with you and someone who wants to acquire the life you've already built. Victoria showed me what it looks like when both people in a relationship are building towards something instead of one person trying to claim what the other person already earned. The house I built is still mine. The business I created is still mine. And the woman I'm with built her own success before she ever met me, which means I never have to wonder whether she loves me or my assets. Sometimes the best protection against people who want to take what you've built is finding someone who's built something equally valuable themselves. Edit. For those asking about business growth, expanding into 3 locations was possible partly because I didn't lose half my assets to someone who contributed nothing to earning them. Protecting your success creates opportunities for more success. Edit 2. Madison's doing great at Manning Brothers. She's enrolled in business classes and is learning project management. Earning success through merit instead of manipulation has been good for her self-respect. Edit 3. Someone asked if I regret being so aggressive about destroying Cassidy's reputation. Honestly, no. When someone tries to use marriage as a legal weapon to steal your life's work, exposing that behavior protects other people from becoming victims. Community protection isn't revenge, it's responsibility.